Now with reaction, Congressman, also medical doctor Ronnie Jackson, along with former White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus. Ronnie Jackson, there was an effort this week. I found this pretty interesting. Republicans wanted to have an accounting of all the military equipment that Joe Biden left in the hands of terrorists and the Taliban. Leaving the military equipment behind, that infuriates me. What's your reaction?
Oh, absolutely. It's unbelievable. We've established a new terrorist training ground that's going to be utilized. There are jihadis all over the world that are scrambling to get to Afghanistan right now because they're emboldened by what's happened there. And simultaneously, we have trained a lot of these people that are going to become terrorists now. They're going to want to hunt us down and kill us. And we have armed them to the teeth. Look at the old photos you used to see. You used to see Taliban walking around with AK-47s all the time. Look at the ones now. They all have M4s. They have our optics on them. They have infrared lasers or infrared sights on these things. It's insane what we've done. We have set future soldiers, sailors, and Marines up for a really bad event when we have to go back over there and do something about what's going on. I'm very upset about it, Sean.
And I never thought Reince Priebus I'd ever see the day. For all the indignation and the horror and the feigned outrage over Donald Trump's mean tweets that upset the media, they would upset the media so much. I mean, that tweet was mean. That was offensive. One thing I can say with 100% certainty is Donald J. Trump, President Trump, would never leave a single American behind. And if the Taliban didn't abide by every dotted I, crossed T, every comma and period, he would have obliterated them like he did Baghdadi and Associates, the al-Qaeda leader in Yemen, Soleimani, and, yes, he beat the hell out of the caliphate, defeated them, while Joe Biden and Barack Obama let them grow.
Ben Carson used to talk about the fact that little kids had built-in hypocrisy antennas, and it doesn't take a kid to figure out what's going on here. I mean, you talked about it before in your opening segment there about the women that are being mistreated by the Taliban. And the reality is that Democrats and liberals use gender equality as a political weapon when it's convenient. They're silent as hundreds of American women are in Afghanistan stuck. And where is the State Department, Sean? I mean, they can figure out where how many American women are in Afghanistan. They know how many kids are in Afghanistan. They know how many Americans are in Afghanistan. It's called passports, travel documents. They know. But they don't want to tell us because transparency equals responsibility. And responsibility, Sean, equals obviously accountability, and it equals people in the voters in America knowing what the truth is about what Joe Biden did. They do it with women. Democrats and liberals do it with race. Look what they did the other day with Larry Elder. And they had this woman in a gorilla mask swinging at security guards, screaming at Larry Elder. The sheriff called it a hate crime. And where is Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein in their own state of California? They're silent, Sean, because it's all hypocrisy.
All right, thank you both, Ronnie Jackson and Reince Priebus. When we come back, L.A. County Sheriff is saying the recent attack on Larry Election Day in California, the recall, that's this coming Tuesday, and Democrats are desperate. They're pulling out every stop to try and save Governor Gavin Newsom from a massive political upset. Now, Hollywood, big tech, major unions, along with, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, even the imploding Joe Biden, praised by Gavin Newsom. Yeah, they're begging the people of California, keep Newsom in office despite his massive failures. He's given checks to about 2/3 of the people in all of California at the time of a recall election. Timing is a little bit dubious to me. Now, Biden will be in Southern California with Newsom on Monday. And remember, Newsom actually said he's so proud of Biden amid the Afghanistan exit debacle and the abandoning of Americans. Take that into account out on the West Coast. And here's a question. Why hasn't there been widespread condemnation of the recent egg attack on Larry Elder in Los Angeles, which the L.A. sheriff now says looks like a hate crime? Now, here's what happened earlier this week. Take a look. Here with reaction, California gubernatorial candidate Larry Elder, who is now leading by double digits. Well, they missed by a mile with the egg, so that's good news. You know, did any one of the people that took a swing at I believe somebody that was part of your security detail, did they get arrested? Did anyone get arrested for the attempted assault on you?
Not so far, and as you pointed out, the L.A. County Sheriff said, challenging the woke media, if this had been a D at the end of my name, they'd be calling it a hate crime and talking about how this is an example of systemic racism. But Sean, this is the same kind of media double standard I've been dealing with ever since I've been running. As you know, there was an allegation that Larry Elder doesn't like women based on some 21-year-old article I wrote where I was quoting a left-wing organization and some allegation that I engaged in an act of violence against a woman, which I vigorously denied. But CNN, Politico, and the other outlets ran with that for days and days and days. There's just been an allegation made by Rose McGowan. Rose McGowan is the actress who said her career was destroyed because she refused to sleep with Harvey Weinstein. It was because of Rose that Harvey Weinstein, and because of other allegations, is facing a series of rape charges. Now, just yesterday, Rose McGowan said the wife of Gavin Newsom called her on behalf of Harvey Weinstein's lawyer and said to her 6 months before the Harvey Weinstein story really blew up, how can we make you happy? How can this story go away? And Rose McGowan even produced emails from Gavin Newsom's wife indicating that they had a correspondence. Now, I don't know whether the story is true or false, Sean. All I know is if an allegation was made that my significant other, on behalf of Harvey Weinstein's lawyer, called Rose McGowan and tried to get her to back off the story, that's all they'd be talking about. Now, Politico has this story, CNN has this story, we know they have the story, but they have not reported on it at all. Real Clear Politics did, Newsmax did. I'm making the allegation here on your program. And where's the investigation? Where's the investigative journalist? Where's journalism?
Yeah, and we've seen the hypocrisy. I mean, Gavin Newsom, restaurants closing down. He's in restaurants. No other Californian restaurants. His kid's in public school. His winery stays open. And now he's giving out checks. We have 30 seconds. How do you time the checks to what? 60? Is it 60+% of Californians just before the recall? Isn't that true?
Yeah, all of a sudden a new poll comes out. Look, the recall is within the margin of error. I'm asking people to vote yes on the recall. Make sure you sign your ballot. If you don't trust the mail, you can follow it online, or you can drop it off at a voting center, and then go to electelder.com if you see anything suspicious. We have a battery of lawyers ready to file lawsuits if anything suspicious goes down. So yes on the recall and electelder.com. Throw a little something in the tip jar because my opponent has raised $75 million so far. Sean will probably spend about $100 million.
It would be the biggest political earthquake in the modern time. And I believe in miracles. You know, Al Michaels, do you believe in miracles? I actually do. All right, Larry, we're wishing you a lot of luck. We're watching it very closely. That's on this Tuesday. Anyway, coming up, you won't believe what anthem was played ahead of last night's match between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Dallas Cowboys. My point is, can we please, the most unifying event, sporting events, can we keep politics out of sports? We'll see what Jason Whitlock. As I've been saying, there's politics everywhere else in life. Is it better to have the one national anthem that we all agree on? Can we leave politics out of sports? Here with reaction, the Blaze host, Jason Whitlock, is with us. You know, I always say this, Jason. You have the most unifying event. You go to a baseball game, you go to a basketball game, you go to a football game, you go to, boxing, you go to, I love UFC, as you know, I love, the octagon. And, it's one thing is everybody there, all races, all people, all backgrounds, socioeconomic background, what do they have? It's the most unifying event. A shared passion for a sport, shared passion for a team. I high-five strangers, touchdown, grand slam, whatever it happens to be. You get to meet new friends. Every time I've ever been to a stadium, I meet somebody new, and I enjoy meeting new people. And now we're adding politics to this. It's a bad idea. Now, what happens if other groups want their anthems played? Would it be fair to say, well, if we have one group, we have to do every group? Where does this end?
Sean, you're talking about the injection of politics. I look at it as an injection of cowardice. Cowardice from Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, one of his top assistants, Troy Vincent. These guys have swallowed Marxism, Black Lives Matter, St. George Floyd. They've swallowed all of that BS. And so now we have two separate national anthems being played at NFL games. The players that stood for that Black national anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, it's a fine song. It's appropriated churches. But they don't know the lyrics to this song. They don't know the history to this song. It's a song that was made and constructed, and it was in celebration of Abraham Lincoln in 1900. And it's not, it has become the so-called Black national anthem, but even having a Black national anthem violates every tenet that football and sports are supposed to be about. And it's about unity and coming together under one umbrella, under one goal, under one mission.
We have the most unifying event of people celebrating a shared passion. Sports fans are passionate. They're passionate about their sport, their home team, and it unifies everybody. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you know something? We are the United States of America. And being together in an arena, in a stadium, wherever it happens to be, you're meeting new people, you're high-fiving strangers. You know, we have a national anthem that we all want to work, one nation under God. I want to get to the point where we judge people by the content of their character, as Martin Luther King famously said. And I think in those moments when it's unifying, keep them unifying. You add politics, you start dividing people immediately.
And it's intentional, though, Sean. There's people, Black Lives Matter, the trained Marxists of Black Lives Matter. There are people that don't want us unified. China, the Communist Chinese Party, they don't want us unified. And so they are bullying cowards like Roger Goodell and Troy Vincent into adopting divisive Marxist principles, such as having a Black national anthem at an event that used to be unifying. This is men being cowards. No one has the testicular fortitude to stand up and tell the Marxists and the atheists and the people that want to divide this country and tear it down, go sit the F down. We're not allowing it here. If Pete Rozelle and the people that built the National Football League into the powerhouse that it is, and they did it by aligning the sport with patriotism and traditional American values, they're rolling over in their graves watching these cowards tear it down.
All right, Jason Whitlock, we appreciate you being with us as always. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back more Hannity right after this. Now, we do mark the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks. We have a special tribute. You might want to set your DVR and record this next, straight ahead. There's 9/11, 2001, and of course Benghazi, 9/11, 2012. But 20 years later, those towers fell. The Pentagon was hit. Let's Roll became a national anthem, if you will. And we reflect on that devastating day and the triumph of the human spirit on top of it. I want to play this timeline and the song Michael W. Smith wrote at the request of George W. Bush after 9/11, entitled, "There, Abandon Our Fellow Americans Behind Enemy Lines, Hostage at the Whim of Terrorists, the Taliban. The Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan will now become a safe haven for terrorists to plot, plan, and scheme their next attack." To all the families, all the people that tomorrow will have a tough day, to the kids that grew up not knowing mom and dad, all of those families, our love, our thoughts, our prayers are with all of you. And they were at war with us, the 9/11 Commission report said. We weren't at war with them. And look where we are today. My heart is troubled. Our prayers are with you this weekend. We'll see you Monday. 27 Americans held hostage behind enemy lines. We have a lot of news to bring on that front tonight. Now, tonight, let's start with your freedom is under assault. Dr. Joe Biden, not sure what medical school he went to, won't take no for an answer. Now, it's your body, it's his choice, with an unconstitutional, illegal, unethical federal vaccine mandate that, by the way, he said he would never support. one that Jen Psaki told us that it is not the role of the federal government to do, one that Nancy Pelosi said they don't have the authority to do it. And Kamala Harris was the one that said, it's your body, you get to make the choice. And to make matters worse, this has nothing to do with your health or safety. Instead, this is a cold, it is a calculated, it is a political ploy. Biden's presidency has been a complete disaster in every single way. Think of one thing. Can you name one thing that he's done that you could point to that you think is a success? He abandoned Americans behind enemy lines. Can't even tell us how many he abandoned. Darrell Issa says around 500. 13 American heroes are now dead because of Joe's Afghan disaster. When he had control of Kabul, he could have gotten every American out safely, every Afghan ally out safely, all our equipment out safely. His poll numbers are in the basement. He's desperate to galvanize support around a shared common enemy. That enemy is some Americans that don't buy into his one-size-fits-all, unscientific medicine. Think about this. One size fits all. No medical exemptions? Let's start there. How is that following science? It's not. Especially those who refuse to follow his vaccine rules and mandates, including Republican governors, by the way, who won't act like mini dictators, who actually believe strongly in a principle that Joe gives lip service to, and it's called liberty and freedom and choice. Joe says it's not about freedom. It's not about choice. It is about freedom. It is about your choice. It is about your unique medical history and your current medical condition and what your doctor thinks, not a phony doctor or TV guys that think they're a doctor or play doctor on TV. Americans that value their medical privacy, Americans that value doctor-patient confidentiality, and anyone else who believes in personal freedom, Joe Biden's heartfelt unity pledge, oh, that lasted all but 7 months. Now it's us versus them, and Dr. Joe's patience is wearing thin. He wants to lecture you and scold you for not listening.
Restore the soul and secure the future of America requires so much more than words. It requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy: unity.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself.
My whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people.
My message to unvaccinated Americans is this: what more is there to wait for? What more do you need to see?
With unity, we can do great things, important things.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge, and unity is the path forward.
And your refusal has cost all of us. So please do the right thing.
Now, clearly, Joe's unity pledge was a lie. Now, half the country is, enemy number one, because they don't want to follow Dr. Joe. In fact, Democrats say nicer things about illegal immigrants and even the Taliban, some of them, than the 80 million unvaccinated Americans. I guess it's open season on them. Do you know anything about their medical condition, their medical history? You know anything about what their doctors are advising them? According to the Biden administration, 20 years after 9/11, the Taliban is professional and they are businesslike. But if you're unvaccinated and you're an American unvaccinated, you're ignorant, you're selfish, and his patience is running out. Take a look. Fist. Wow. Anyway, that's as American as apple pie. The left, they've kind of lost their minds. Joining us now with reaction, Fox News contributor, media columnist for The Hill, Joe Concha, who should have his own media show on Fox. I am advocating for it openly. I would love to see that show. All right, let me start with this.
Once or twice, yeah.
Aren't these the same people that have been silent about the hundreds of thousands, 25-plus year record, almost 200,000 on average a month, crossing the border illegally, high rates of COVID positivity, Joe Biden's cages that are overcrowded, and no testing, and then dispersing people all over the country? Not a peep about that super spreader, Joe Concha. It reeks of utter hypocrisy.
And the vice president was put in charge of the border you described months ago, Sean, and she's only visited once. She stopped in for about 5 minutes, wasn't even near the actual border, and then left. And yet the American media is barely reporting on what's going on at that U.S. border, and obviously the COVID problem that's happening when you then siphon all of these undocumented immigrants that have COVID-19 in different communities across the country. For whatever reason, that's not particularly an issue with this administration. But this decision, you know, it's crazy as far as what we're talking about with Kamala Harris, for example, who I just brought up, because she just did a speech a couple days ago, and she was talking about your body, your choice in that argument. And she said, quote, when people are able to make choices without government interference for themselves in terms of their well-being and the well-being of their family, we are a stronger society. Okay. She wasn't talking about vaccines, though. She was talking about abortions. So news outlets should press the White House on this contradiction, but it's Silence of the Lambs at this point. And it's pointless anyway, because you'll find the knife that OJ used before you'll find Kamala Harris holding a solo press conference. But I think, Sean, we have to look at an example that we're not talking about very often, and it involves ESPN reporter Allison Williams. And this is the other side of the story, or one at least people aren't talking about. She says that she and her husband want to have a second baby. And she says the most important role I have is as a mother. Throughout our family planning with our doctor, as well as our fertility specialist, I've decided not to receive the COVID-19 vaccine at this time while my husband and I try to have a second child. This is a very deeply difficult decision, and it's not something I take lightly. So now she won't be on the sidelines for ESPN tomorrow for the first time in 15 years during a college football Saturday. And I just want somebody to ask the president or Jen Psaki about this, because Disney has a mandated, you have to get the COVID-19 vaccine. They talked about this in July. We're at that 60-day point that they said you have to get the vaccine, and now she actually won't be working this weekend. So she, again, you had this woman who consulted with her doctor, her fertility specialist, decided it wasn't right for her. So what do you say, Mr. President? I think it's a fair question.
All right, great point. Joe Concha, thank you. Always good to have you. 20 years after 9/11, the Taliban is back in charge of Afghanistan. It's unimaginable, and Americans caught behind enemy lines, hostage to the whims of the Taliban. Day 27, Congressman Ronnie Jackson, Reince Priebus, they will weigh in next. Also, later, big controversy over the Black National Anthem before last night's NFL game. Jason Whitlock checks in, and you're going to want to roll tape. We've got Michael W. Smith's song, There She Stands. Special version coming up straight ahead. It's held hostage behind enemy lines, and just like we've been telling you, Joe Biden's self-inflicted Afghanistan exit disaster, so preventable, has now emboldened terrorists all around the globe and made the world less safe, less secure, and a lot more dangerous. A terror attack, well, that took place at a Karzai International Airport. We watched what happened. It took the lives of 13 U.S. service members, our national treasure, after Joe Biden needlessly put them in harm's way. And despite the lies from the Biden administration about the Taliban being, quote, so businesslike and professional, we are seeing the grim reality of life under the Taliban. Look again at your screen. We showed you this video of women being beaten. Why? For having the unmitigated gall to freely demonstrate in Kabul. We've documented the massive human rights abuses against innocent men, women, and children in Afghanistan, those that are standing up for their rights after being abandoned by Joe Biden. And now on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, America, well, it may be once again facing a new terror threat. And, of course, that would mean a new era of Islamic radical extremism. And the Taliban, they're doing even more to embarrass America on the world stage, reportedly now preparing to hold their so-called government inauguration day on, that's right, 9/11. And just look at the new ad from the Senate GOP. It's entitled, 20 Years Later, America Abandoned. Take a look.